live on YouTube.
All right.
I see
Cool.
it.
Yeah. Cool. Hello, everyone. John Henry Soda here. Want to introduce to you Maggie Perez, wonderful
Hi.
artist, incredible friend, also, and
Aw.
really, really just a wonderful person all around. So
Aw.
here's. Oh, hold on one second. Oops. What's happening is that my the YouTube is going live.
Mm.
There you go. Okay. I hear my own YouTube channel as we're talking. And I keep forgetting that I have to turn it off or else I'm gonna hear two
Yeah, and then
shows
you hear yourself and you're like, "Oh my god, I sound like that? That's
a few
awful."
seconds later. Yeah. Like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
Um so anyway, just a little bit of a backstory. Obviously, we've kind of done this once before at the Jaff Project Studio space, and um we lost a lot of the footage, unfortunately, due to a fire.
Yeah.
Actually, we lost quite a lot of things. Actually, I mean,
Mm.
obviously, he lost a lot more. So I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that he's okay and the family's okay. They got their dog out, but it was kind of a
That's good.
tragedy, tragic thing, of fire, and we lost a lot of that footage. So this is just one of many times that I'm going to be interviewing Maggie. I'm sure one of many times that we're going to be talking on camera somewhere. I think whenever I meet somebody that I know is like genuine, you know what I mean? Like this is it, like there's no kind of like a veneer of something, in trying to protect anything. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
that's who you are. I've seen you on set upset. I've seen you on set laughing. I've seen you on set finding solutions to things and
Yeah.
figuring things out. You know what I mean? I've seen all sides and stuff, and it's been just a wonderful experience to know you. So
Oh, thank you.
I do appreciate you taking the time again and doing this a second time, and like I said before, it'll be over and over again. So okay, so we're living in a interesting time,
Yeah.
to say the
Yeah, for
least.
sure.
And I guess one of the things I'd like to do is I like to meet artists and see where they are, what their thought process is,
Mm.
um, and kind of like what they're working on moving to forward, post COVID-19, when we finally get out, released from our quarantine. I was gonna
Yeah.
say prison, but
Yeah,
from
well,
our
that's what it
quarantine.
feels like.
It does, but I mean, obviously, I mean, I can, we got food, and I could go
Yeah.
out, but I get in trouble.
Yeah.
So, um, I don't want to get in trouble again. Mm,
Yeah.
damn. um, so what are your thoughts? What's happening with you? How are you doing? First of all, as far as like the whole thing and the whole. It's been over almost 2 months now, I guess.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm actually holding up very well. I still am working. I work for a university full time. So I practically brought my office over to my little space in my living room.
Wow.
I brought the printer over and I brought the scanner over and all the mailings are coming to my house and everything. So, and then I have to pop in because I'm the closest one to my job. So I have to pop in and get like the checks and everything like that. Um, so I am working,
Yeah.
full time, and I actually feel like I'm a little more productive than if I was in the office.
That's so funny. I've heard actually people say that. Isn't that
Yeah,
weird? Yeah.
yeah, because we don't get like distracted. I know I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like everybody in my face in the house all the time. Like
Yeah.
we're all like confined to the dining room. The dining room's turned into a hangout spot, an office, school, like a school for my daughter. So we're all in there in this like maybe like a 12 by 15 room. We're all
Right.
working.
Right.
Um, you know, so but lucky for me, they know when I'm on the clock, I'm on the clock, and they leave me be. You know, um,
Well, that's
I
good.
do go out and do the groceries and run the errands because I have my mother who's elderly, so I have to be the rock, I guess, in the family. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm doing okay. Um, Sometimes going to the stores can be a little on I get a little anxiety from it, and then maybe because I'm feeling the energy collectively,
Mm-hmm.
and so I go in there and I have to kind of like take a few deep breaths and stuff and try not to have like a panic attack.
Right, right.
So, and that's actually a concern of mine is when this is all over, is this gonna cause trauma?
Well,
And
yeah, unfortunately, it kind of has already. Suicide hotlines are up by like 200 and something percent. Suicides themselves are up, unfortunately.
yeah,
And so, yeah, I think, it's one of those things where I guess you can't blame certain people for being, stressed out, I guess, but at the
yeah,
same time, it's sort of like you have to. I was just saying this the other day on something I was doing, that it's important to ask people what how they're doing.
yeah,
Like, even if they smiling and they're walking around, but if you see them alone a lot, it's because you don't know. You really want to find out what, make sure that they actually are okay, because when you get
yeah.
behind closed doors, if somebody's living by themselves, we have one of our neighbors here, elderly man, lost his wife a couple years ago,
Mm,
and so he's up there by himself. He's a very strong man. You know what I mean? He's a very
yeah,
strong man, but still, I want to make sure. So we check in on him, me and my neighbors and stuff. So I think
yeah.
it's an important thing. But yeah, I totally understand that anxiety. Um, I got yelled at online at Seatown
Why?
because I was with my son, and I had this was earlier. This was earlier in this whole mayhem, right?
Mm,
I had my son in the stroller, and I was just buying a few things. And the stroller is kind of like ahead of me a few feet, so I wasn't really aware of the social distancing per this person. They really
yeah.
were. I think she had a ruler, so I was like standing there, and she's praying her thing, and I was standing, and she turns around and she's like, "You're too close."
Did she give you that face
And
as well?
yeah, yeah, she
Do it
had like
again.
this
I want to see it
huge
again.
She had this huge mask, she was walking like this. You're too close. And so I was like, oh, and I was being polite because I'm sympathetic to people's fears. I'm not afraid. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
really not afraid. You know what I mean? If I get COVID-19 and it's okay. I'll be fine. I've been
yeah,
shot at, when I was growing up in the Bronx. So, um, I wasn't really. So I wanted to give her space and be like, So I said, oh, I apologize. And then she turns around again and she says, and you're with your son. I'm like, so then I lost it a little bit, and I won't go into what I said, but yeah, then and then she kind of turned around. She was with her, I guess her husband or whoever was some big dude, and
yeah.
apparently I guess I had the crazy eyes because he kind of turned around. And he was like, "I'm gonna go." He just left his wife. He just, I turned on my Puerto Rican crazy eyes, and I
No.
guess he was, I guess, but yeah, it's stressful because it's not your own stress that sometimes you're dealing with. Like you said, you walk into that place and you feel the collective stress of everyone.
Yeah,
It's and especially as an artist, and we feel everything.
yeah,
We're much more intuitive. Intuitively can feel those things.
yeah.
So are you obviously it's difficult to create when you're working from home and you got a lot of stuff. Have you been working on any projects or any pieces that I saw
Well,
you posted a lot of things I think it was yesterday,
it was
and it
this
was great
morning
to
actually.
yeah. Oh, was it this morning? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
My days now, it's
they blend together. Yeah,
they do, yeah. I was
yeah,
like, remember last month when you said that was this morning, John? um
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, wonderful. I look at those pieces and I forget. I'm like, holy shit, damn! I forgot she could do this.
yeah.
you know, it's, it's incredible talent. It's
Thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, I actually miss sculpting a lot. I was just missing being having access to a studio when I was taking classes, you
Yeah.
know. So I haven't been creating big pieces. because of the fact that I kind of lost the space that I was utilizing.
Mm.
Like I at one point was in the basement of my house, and my uncle came home and kind of took it over, and I kind of lost that and
Uh,
everything. And I was creating upstairs for a while in my apartment, but I kind of gave that up to because I like to, when I'm done working, to be able to come home to a space that is free of any type of work,
right.
so what I have been doing is just kind of playing around with different mediums. Um, I think earlier this year, around maybe December, January, even into February, I was experiencing, and we had this conversation actually. I was experiencing a bit of burnout,
Oh yeah.
because yeah, because I had taken on a lot of projects, and then like I wasn't secure in the direction that I had wanted to go,
Mm-hmm.
and so I kind of actually stopped creating as a whole,
Mm.
because that I do production design, I make props and special effects and everything, and for a quick bit, I wasn't sure if that's the direction I still wanted to go in,
Mm.
so I had stopped completely. But then that knowing who I am and knowing that I love to create, that was actually making like the burnout and the depression even more worse. It
Yeah.
was worse
Wow.
because because I knew that I am stopping what I love to do, you
Yeah.
know? And so what I started doing was playing around with cement. I was playing around with things that I knew was easily attainable. I didn't need to like fire them because the sculptures I was making was out of clay. And so we had a kiln in the studio and everything. And I love that medium so much. And I actually miss it so much.
Mm.
And so then I moved over to drywall, like the spackle,
Mm-hmm.
but I need a place to be messy, you know? And
Right.
so, and then what I did was I kind of was playing with cement, but like in my kitchen and just making small pieces and trying to figure out how that works as a medium. Like, there's like, I guess, a recipe that you need in order to create like cement jewelry.
Mm.
Like you have to have a ratio to cement, water to cement and everything like that. So, so I was playing with that for a while, was creating jewelry. And then I kind of stopped with that for a bit. And because then some other gigs came about, like I built um, a, oh, I had another film that I worked on. So I was working on that for a bit and everything. And then when all of this went down, um, I didn't have the supplies I needed and I wasn't about
Mm.
to go running out, and I decided to do like this major purge. And actually part of the reasoning why I was doing the major purge, I don't know if you saw the last shoot or the photos from the last shoot. We actually filmed in my apartment,
Mm.
and the because I work for Narrowbridge, and so we do a whole bunch of short films because we
Yeah.
were working on an anthology,
Mm.
and it's a wraparound. So we're basically doing a whole bunch of tiny little shoots to connect all of them together, to the
Mm.
main short film called Click Send or something like that, And so one of them was the one that we worked on was called Cleanup, and
Mm.
this was this was this was fun, I have to say, because the whole the whole premise of the film was after a murder scene. So the
Mm.
police come to a house after a murder scene. So the murder scene was the whole living room was filled with blood, like all
Oh my.
over. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Oh no.
yes,
It's
and
a
so
big gallon of oh god.
I think we had 3 gallons of blood.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Wait, so hold on. So, my guys, I gotta love them. I love them to death because they always give me new challenges and, okay, we want you to do this. And so I rack my brain. I stay up in the middle of the night trying to figure out how am I gonna pull this off, and I'm like, if I go to somebody's apartment and get blood on the walls, I don't know if the blood's gonna come off or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
And so I knew that the best place that I would feel okay if it gets messed up is my house, is my own
Right.
place, right?
Yeah. I hear you.
So I offered up my living room. I said, guys, if you want, we can do it in my house. Just buy me a new can of paint. You know, I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
wanting to do my living room anyway. So they said, deal. And so what I did was I basically put white walls, just like a primer, because I had mismatched walls. I recovered my sofa and I put plastic lining under the covers so that way it won't seep through into my cushions. I made like a fur rug, and
Oh
like
my God.
yeah, I like
Wow.
revamped my living room. And then it was nice and white and pretty and everything. We did the first shoot on a Saturday, and then I'm like, all right, it's time to bloody up this place. And I
Wow.
kicked them out, and I threw blood all over my walls, poured gallons of blood on my floor. Actually, my boyfriend just mopped this morning, and the blood is still coming out of my wooden floors.
Oh my. Wow.
I had it on my ceilings. And the funny thing was like I went out Sunday to go wash some of the stuff in the laundromat. So the blood was coming out in the water of the machines and everything like
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
so the next day I had the cable guy come over to fix my cable box.
He's like, I better call 911.
I said, there's a good explanation. I said, trust me, there's a great
Like, don't tell
explanation.
me, please, don't tell me. I don't want
And
to be
so
the
while
next
he's
victim.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So while he's there trying to fix my box, I'm there painting my walls and everything. I think I must have put like 4 coats of paint on my wall just because it kept seeping through. You know?
Wow. Yeah, that stuff
Yeah,
is thick, right? It's that thick.
it's
Yeah,
theater blood. Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's
Stuff
like
is.
almost like syrup or something.
Yeah, like syrupy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we finished that up. And then, so I had to put my living room back to the way I had it. And so ever since I did that, I'm like, okay, I can't do any more work in this living room. I can't create in this living room because I love the space that I created for myself, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So, and then everything happened. And so,
Yeah.
like, I was like, as I was setting up this thing, I was kind of purging and getting rid of everything. And I had found some leather jackets and, I was ready to donate it. And I said, this is good fabric, like,
Mm.
yeah, you can't go to like a fabric store and buy a piece of leather inexpensive.
Right.
and
Right.
and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna create stuff. So I started making like little leather jewelries just to keep me sane,
Yeah.
just to
Yeah. Yeah.
keep that momentum going, always challenging my brain. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel as an artist when we come to that point that we don't know where we want to go or what we want to do. Just keep on doing it, keep on
Yeah.
creating, even if it's on a smaller scale, even if it's for yourself, try a different medium, it makes your brain
Yeah.
sharp, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that and I'm still doing it actually. Because my whole thing is like, well, maybe I can do a pop-up shop, and sell some
Yeah.
of these earrings once this is all done.
Oh, that's a good
So,
idea. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just something for me, because
Yeah.
that's something that we forget as well. Like if we're constantly creating for somebody and
Hmm.
we don't do it for ourselves, we
Yeah.
feel lost in it and it feels like a business.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. Once it starts feeling an obligation or a commitment to someone else's schedule or whatever,
Yeah.
and even though it's in the general area of something that you love to do, there's still that kind of thing. Like I still want to do things as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just keeping creating, just keep creating is an important thing. I remember something I might we might have talked about this before, but Picasso had mentioned. He said, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but he said, if you take my paintbrushes away, I will use my fingers to paint. If you take my paints, he goes, I will spit on my finger and I will use my spit on the wall to paint. Like it didn't matter what you can take anything from him. He was gonna find a way to make his art, to make
Yeah.
art. And I thought, wow, that's kind of glad it was. I heard Dustin Hoffman say that once, and at the actor studio.
Mhm.
Um, and it's so true because I think when you do, even this is one of the reasons why I'm continually doing this.
Yeah.
It's because it keeps me talking, it keeps me engaged, it keeps me busy, and I mean right now, for me, my office is pretty much kaput.
Yeah.
Everything is done, so I'm moving out tomorrow. As a matter of fact, is my
Oh
last day
wow.
there. Yeah, so unfortunately, it we had no heat during the winter. I don't know if you if you knew that, but
No.
um, we were battling the landlord, and not battling. I mean, there were two heating systems, and unfortunately, the one that was heating our area it's busted and
Mhm.
cost a lot of money to fix. So we had no heat this winter, and I
Oh
had a
wow.
couple of I had like two or three guests there for the podcast thing, and we're like,
Oh man.
you know. So by
Yeah.
the end of it, I was just like, I can't go there. So anyway, and then this whole thing happened, and I had like five jobs that I was gonna do, video jobs. Just three of them postponed, two of them just canceled, and the other three, I don't know if they're gonna reschedule. Hopefully,
Yeah.
but that kind of put an end to that. So I mean, it didn't put an end to it. It's just a space, I mean, I'm moving everything to my house, and it's not a huge deal. But I think this right here kind of keeps me a little bit sane, like you said, and
Yeah.
you know, coming up with ideas especially when you talk to another artist, you always constantly like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, or
Mhm.
that's something that I can relate to, and so that's an important thing. Do you
Yeah.
find it now that moving from this world to whatever world we're gonna, do you think there'll be more art that you'll be doing, or do you think it'll be about the same, or do you think it'll be less? What are your thoughts on that?
I have a feeling it's going to be more, because
Hmm.
I think once this is over, we're all going to break free and like, because we had all this time to really think, come up with ideas, especially the true artists, that their mind is constantly going. I think we're just going to
Hmm.
break out, and we're going to
Yeah.
get moving. I know the guys, my guys, they're writing, they're
Yeah.
editing, like they have all these ideas,
Hmm.
that they want to do and stuff. So I know that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I know that I'm probably gonna put in bids for like other jobs outside of them.
Hmm.
While I'm actually on quarantine, I'm taking some home staging classes,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, just to kind of like get behind the scenes, like understand a little more. I think it's going to be beneficial for my production design, and I think
Hmm.
this will be a nice side business for me. Like when I decide to leave Jersey City,
Hmm.
and I can take this with me.
Yeah.
I'm actually considering maybe combining that. I don't know. I'm still up in the air about it, but combining that with like interior design, just to have more of a better understanding in the psychology of dressing a
Right.
space, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And
Yeah. Cause
so like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no. Go ahead.
No, so because just like I said, just it's just a matter of keeping my mind sharp,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you know, and because
Yeah.
there's a lot to it. There's a lot to, it's like with with production design. It's funny because um production design and prop making, like I go to my guys, and as more time goes by, I learn more about it, about because I fell in this production design stuff. It just landed in my lap. I didn't plan this to be my life. I
Right.
never even considered this at all, you know.
Right.
And as more projects come on my plate, like you kind of have to learn the psychology, and the mental capacity of the character,
Hmm.
and so if you have a murderer and you need to build some props for this murderer, you know, like for example, ClickSend, in ClickSend, it's actually on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it if you want.
Hmm.
Nice plug. So there's
Absolutely.
this, yeah, there's the scene that the guy, the killer, holds up these signs, you know, and when we sat down, I'm like, okay, so who's this killer? What is what's his backstory? And they asked me, well, does it really matter? Yes, it matters. Is
Hmm.
he like an insane guy that's just grabbing everything and just going to write whatever he can down, to make the sign? Or is he going to go like to Staples and buy a whiteboard and some markers and do it nice and neatly? Who is
Hmm.
he? Is he insane? Is he meticulous?
Yeah.
So you kind, like it does matter, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, as an actor, you go. That's what you actually train on. That's what I mean. That was my training was a British technique, and my coach gave me like 5 things to that you have to get with a character, and one of them is their past, even economics. Was this a poor person or a rich person or middle class?
Yeah,
That actually affects a person's psyche and how they operate and stuff. So yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, it's important. Yeah,
And that's the same way that you dress up a space,
right.
yeah, the same way, like, are you going to a mother's house, or is this, somebody in their 30s? Because um somebody in their 30s is probably not going to have like floral print quilts hanging from
Right,
the wall, you know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So
right.
you kind of, like when I dressed up the space for one of the trailers, I turned a complete a basement that was emptied out into an apartment,
Wow.
and luckily they had like cabinets hanging around. They had a spare refrigerator, and I asked the owner, I said, "Do you mind if I move things around?" He was like, "No, not at all." And it was just me and my friend Isaac that was setting it up. And when everybody got there, they said, "Where the hell did you get all this furniture? Did you go to IKEA?" I'm like, "No, it's stuff from the house." You
Wow.
know? Yeah, and when I'm dressing up the space, they said, "Well, where do you want me to put this?" I said, "Well, what do you have in your bookshelf? What do you have?" And I said, "Whatever you probably would put on your bookshelf, then put it, you know?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
on top of the bookshelf was like a surfboard, and there was like some instruments hanging around. Just how would you live?
yeah.
I mean, these are people that are your age. How would you have
Right,
your space?
right,
And
right.
and so well, again, when everybody walked in, they were surprised. They couldn't believe that I turned that basement into an apartment, you
Wow.
know, and it
Wow.
just worked out beautifully.
Yeah,
So, so that's what, like I'm thinking, that's why I'm taking those classes, to earn the certification, just to kind of learn, you know, you
yeah,
know, it's again, keeping my mind sharp, you
yeah.
know,
That's absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you came to the office and you shot that scene for your
mirrors.
guys,
Yeah.
yeah, for mirrors, right? Yeah, you made the space look so amazing. Like when you left and we put everything back, we were so depressed. We were like, sucks, man.
I tore up your office.
It's not as nice as it was.
You should have left
But
it.
I know, I know, but it was like, damn, but yeah, I don't know. It was, you definitely have an amazing eye for it, and it's what you said is true because it's design. So it can be there's so many elements to that, whether it's a film, whether it's a stage, whether it's someone's house.
Yeah.
In real estate, right? We do, we do showcase homes, right? So
Yeah.
there's actual companies, right, that you can hire, and they'll bring like a fake TV and a fake flowers and fake shit, and they just put it all over the house, and so you have like an open house, whatever. So it's
Yeah.
such an important element to the industry,
Yeah.
especially when you really get into the psyche of a character and you want the space. If the guy is like a Jeffrey Dahmer, he's not gonna have nice things. If a guy is like a Mister Rogers, his house is completely different.
Yeah.
And that becomes the very interesting. Um, what I mean, I also do think that there's going to be a lot more stuff happening, like
Yeah.
after this whole thing is over, especially with film.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've been saying is that with the streaming services, people have been pretty much consuming as much, more than in the history of consumption, right? Especially for Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney
Yeah.
Plus and Hulu and all those. So there's going to be a shortage, and there probably already is to a certain degree of content. So they're going to
Yeah.
need a lot of stuff. Another thing that a lot of new um, streaming platforms I think are going to be created from a lot, people just realizing, hey, you know what, big conglomerates, I mean, like big companies, I would say, you know what, let's just make another streaming platform, and compete with all these guys. Netflix has been drained, I
Yeah.
mean, Amazon Prime is getting drained, I mean, they're getting drained, and people are going to be, so somebody's gonna come up and say, hey, let's create a new streaming software. Let's get a whole bunch of new talent in here. Hollywood has been slapped around for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Um, and what I said yesterday was those that thought they were untouchable have been touched, and
Hmm.
in Hollywood and stuff. And I think that that's actually a beneficial thing. I think it's gonna let a lot of independent companies get a shot at starting creating content and writing.
Yeah.
So it's good that the guys are writing because I think that's really the key thing is to have, I have 5 scripts ready to go. So if somebody says anything, I want to go boom plus a TV show. So I'm like boom,
Yeah.
I'm just just have stuff that you can deliver. So it's not
Yep.
like so all right. So what do you guys got?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you want to make sure you have something um that's ready to put out.
Yeah.
Are
So you can hit the
you
ground running.
you have to. You have to. Especially, they're going to be two kinds of people. They're going to be the ones that, you know, um, are sitting at home afraid and, concerned. And I understand that. I'm not, you know, well, I guess I don't understand all of it, but I understand some of
Yeah.
it. And then they're going to be the ones that are at home, just like doing what you're doing and just getting ready and, taking
Yeah.
classes and getting ready for the launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, do you have any ideas do you want to are you looking at doing more production? I know you said you were gonna you know submit to outside of Narrowbridge, but is that something you want to do more acting? Are you gonna do more?
Um.
Have you ever
I
thought
mean,
of
don't get me.
directing?
The the
I
thought
see you
has a
directing.
really.
I really do because I this is actually who was I talking to? I can't remember. Maybe it was Jenna I was talking to. But I
Hmm.
thought that you'd be great because well you have a command of the space when you're in it, when you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna tell you don't do that or don't what I mean? It's just a natural ethics presence.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a director kind of needs. And I think you can interpret just the way you just said about what was this character's background? What was
Yeah.
and that's important. You got to know that. Well, the fact that you want to know that is director brain.
Mm.
That's a director brain. So it's
Yeah.
just something that I think you'd be good at. And you
Well,
should
thank
ask
you.
these guys if you can direct something.
Well, the thing is, I think they can't afford to not have me there doing the art stuff. You
Yeah,
know
that's
what I
true.
mean?
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
yeah. No, I kid. I actually like. I thought about it, because Dan Gregory, right? His
Hmm.
girlfriend actually directed a short film called Carmen, and it's the first
Yeah, I saw
time.
that.
Yeah, and she's getting awards
Yeah,
for it and
I
everything like
know. I
that.
saw.
And kudos to her. I'm like, that's freaking
Yeah.
amazing, that and the fact that Narrowbridge is now bringing on a female director. Actually, they had Jenna, but
Yeah.
now they're starting to bring in more. And I
Hmm.
thought about it. I thought it'd be cool, but that would be such a huge learning thing for me, because I don't know that. Again, all this film stuff is all brand new. I mean, there've been times that I thought about maybe actually taking some film classes, because
Hmm.
everything is brand new. I think I started getting into this maybe back in 2016, 15, something like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So I'm all new to this.
Yeah.
And
There's so much information out there, though.
yeah.
That can really. It's such a different world. It's just a different world. You can literally do courses on YouTube and that master class. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
I signed up for that and I did the Martin Scorsese one was good. It was just good to he wasn't he didn't it was more like into almost like interviews of him and he talked a little bit about sets, but
Yeah.
um the Ron Howard series
Hmm.
was incredible. Like he really broke down film, and
Yeah.
he even went on set and he directed a couple of scenes and talked to the camera what he was doing and what he was looking for, and
Yeah.
it really was a good thing. So I mean, there's a lot of information. If somebody's interested in tapping into it, it's something that definitely could be done for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, I haven't had enough time to really truly watch the guys direct because I'm
Yeah, that's
always,
true, right?
yeah, I'm
They're always
always,
like running around. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny because the last film that they did, um, all I had to do was recreate the signs from ClickSend in this last little thing that they did. I don't know. It was like uh, right before, not this one in my house. It was another one, and all they asked me to do was just recreate the signs that was in ClickSend. They asked me. They said, "Do
Mm.
you still have those signs?" I went, "No." I was like, "That was like 2 years ago." So they said, "Can you make it again?" So I had to like, and they were ripped up boxes. So I had to go rip up boxes and shape them the way that I saw them. I had to watch the movie again
Oh my God,
and
I'm sure.
shape it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to shape it the same way and write it the same way and wet it up the way I did. So they were like, if you want to come and hang out on set, and just bring the signs. I said sure. So I went to set, and all of a sudden they said, Maggie, can you do this? Can you do this? And I found myself actually dressing up the bedroom, and I wasn't even on call to dress up the bedroom. And I'm like, so like, I didn't
This
even get a
guy,
chance. Yeah, I didn't get a
they
chance
cannot
to
live
watch
without
everything.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
I
know.
like.
Trust me. I was there a couple of times, and they're just like, so the Maggie,
I
Maggie. It's-
know. I'm like, yes. I come running all the way
What?
down the hall and
I
stuff.
know.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm the one that's staying up till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning working on stuff. But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but I love it though. I do love
Right,
it, you
right,
know.
right,
But I, the problem is that I do work full time, and
right,
the
right.
my passion that I love that I do is sort of like a full time thing, you
Mm,
know. So I would be working 2 full time jobs,
yeah.
and this is not a thing that I can easily break out into because I am a single mom and I have my daughter going to
Mhm.
college next fall.
Wow.
So yeah, so I gotta take care of that. On top of
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
household responsibility comes first.
Right.
you know and it's funny because I don't know if you saw. I'm sure you did. I was on the Mel Robbins show, which
Yeah.
hasn't aired. Yeah, it hasn't aired yet, because
Okay.
yeah, they were in the middle of editing it and all this happened, so I'm
Right,
assuming
right,
that they're not there to edit you know
right.
so when I was on, I was the last person to be interviewed, right? And so the whole the show was about taking the leap, and having courage, and so like the first woman needed courage to live her life because she had a kidney transplant and she was afraid,
Mm,
to fully live. And then the second one was afraid of public speaking, and then they called me out, and then all of a sudden they said, "Do you have any questions? Like if let's say you had somebody come on, like in the field, would you possibly have any questions or whatever?" And when I heard that, I was like, they have to have like a special guest or something.
mm,
And so it was two sections for me. And so the first set, she asked me questions about what I was doing, and I was telling her that I was working full time, and she praised me. She was like, the fact that you're keeping your full time business while working on your passion until you can fully break out. She goes, that is honorable because a lot of people, when they want to do something like this, they give up what's secure,
yeah.
go into this, and then the stress of this, not knowing, having security and stability,
Yeah.
is actually more stressful.
Hmm.
So, and I was telling her, I was like, it's exhausting though. And she goes, it is, but it's what you need to do. And then, so we break for commercial, and then the next segment, they bring out a guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name, and that's completely awful. But he was the production designer for like the Grand Budapest Hotel and the Royal Tenenbaums and everything, and I was just absolutely floored. you know
Wow.
yeah, and they put my stuff on this big screen, like the bloody room and my
Right, right.
sculptures and everything. And so he was giving me some advice, as to what I need to
Wow,
do.
that's
Yeah, it
so
was really cool.
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And he gave me his
Wow.
business card and everything like that to reach out, and then
Yeah,
everything happened. But
yeah,
so like, you know, I love, like I said, I love doing it, but if it's not equaling out to what I make on a yearly basis,
right.
that's gonna have to be put on hold,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, I think what you're doing is exact. I mean, yes, you're right. It's exhausting. It's a lot of work, but I think that in order to, the more you do, the more you're going to learn, and the more you learn, the more valuable you are to someone,
yeah,
and that's just gonna, it's just gonna increase your value. So once you continue to do that, and yeah, you're right. You know, it's just exhausting. Yeah, it's just exhausting. But
yeah,
um, there's nothing else to say about that. But it does actually give you a tremendous amount of experience in that hustle and bustle, because then when you get to that level, and you
yeah,
will get to that level, then all the other things, it almost becomes a lot easier now, because now you only have your one passion to focus on. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah,
wow. And so you'll be so much more sharper, because you handled the crazy, the crazy times,
yeah,
and so it's definitely a very, very, and it is honorable, and it is very well done, and you know, not many people can do it.
yeah,
Um, and being the age that I am now, and having lived through like different career things, when I was playing music and I was meeting people and stuff, and I just remember young people. I always felt bad because like, I would meet these young actors and singers and whatever, and they were so like, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They're just like flying, and but I realized what they weren't doing was they weren't really working hard. They
yeah,
were working just enough. They had their little part-time job, and then their class, their auditions, and they would, and a lot of them are, I've seen them, and I've kept up with them, because this was during social media time. You see that a lot of them, unfortunately, either moved back home, or they just decided that they didn't want to do that, or they just lost interest or something. Or did they lose interest? I don't know. Maybe they didn't, and they just used that as an excuse or something. But that's where it gets a little bit tricky, for younger people. So one of the things that I like to do is, obviously talk to, younger people and stuff about the what you were just talking about, that it's going to be exhausting,
yeah,
because if it was so easy, don't you think every single person that you met would just love to just work in entertainment?
yeah.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe some people might hate it. I got it, but a good majority of people would love to work in some type of
Oh,
field
yeah,
where you get up and you go to a film set, or you go to a theater, or
yeah.
So that's the thing.
Because you know
And
what it is? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt
no,
you.
go ahead, go for it.
Yeah, what it is just because people see what's being created on the screens. They're seeing like these
Yeah,
award
they see
shows and
the
these short,
Yeah, the
and
the stuff that's like this percentage of the amount, it's the product, but the product, they don't nobody sees the shoveling, they just see the thing being built, they don't see the
yeah,
brick being
yeah,
laid,
yeah.
sweating and all that stuff.
And the
Um,
the sleepless nights and
oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, and I also think that this social media thing has sort of like, in a way, made some people get delusional as to like they have some type of celebrity of some sort. If you're a young pretty girl and you have an Instagram account, and you suddenly get 20,000 followers because you're pretty and you shake your butt or whatever.
yeah,
um there's celebrities in that realm, in that world. They feel like they're, and you're not, you know.
Yeah. It's not real.
It's
Yeah.
not real,
Yeah.
it's like it's such a sad thing. I think that it's gonna change with this whole, I think Hollywood. So I posted today something with somebody actually private messaged me. I get yelled at a lot privately, but I wrote I wrote attention. I said celebrities. What the hell did I write? I wrote something about celebrities now being replaced by artists. Something
Mm.
like that. It was
Yeah.
like the idea that a celebrity is a celebrity, right? Because there are celebrities that are celebrities,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there are artists that are artists. You know what I mean? And an artist is a completely different thing for me, And so, so I think that there's a change. I think there's a shift. I think we're gonna be seeing artists be recognized and celebrities, because now celebrities, now they become political, right? Now they're out there singing, "Kumbaya, my lord," whatever the hell they're singing to try to get everybody motivated and stuff like that. And I've noticed that a lot of people are just rolling their eyes at
Yeah.
like Lady Gaga playing her piano and singing, Elton John. Every tragedy Elton John comes on is like "Goodbye, Norma Jean." I'm like every single tragedy,
Great
he has to
impression,
sing
by the
"Candle in
way.
the Wind" and donate. Oh, thank you. And he has to do the honors and it's just like I'm finding a lot of people rolling their eyes at that. I think people want to see real artists, and they're
Yeah.
tired of the reality TV and all this stuff that's happened. Again, this is me just speculating what I innately kind of feel, but maybe it's just my own vision. But I do feel that
Yeah.
that's in the future. I think we're gonna start seeing more people that are just truly good, just talented artists that want to put out good stuff. Not that 1% that puts out those mega movies for 100, $200 million, the Marvel films and all that stuff, which I,
Yeah.
I have no problem with. I actually like some of those. But, that whole idea. So what's your advice to a young person, not to say you're not, you are a young person, but I mean, like, what's to say to like a 20-year-old,
Mm.
because these are the ones that they're going to be here. They're living through this coronavirus. And when they're
Yeah.
done, they're going to be these young people living post corona. And if they're artists, what do you think they should do?
Just keep on pushing.
Yeah.
Just keep on creating and everything like that. Understand that it is an exhausting field to get in, and the true artists work their butt off, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
authentic one, they're not someone that just is like an overnight sensation,
Right.
and you're gonna fall on your face a lot,
Hmm.
you know, but don't get discouraged when that happens, you know.
Yeah.
Um, there's a writer, Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't know if you know who she is.
No.
She's the one that wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Absolutely love her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she wrote this book called Big Magic, and what she talks about is just keep on writing. She was talking more about those people who wanted to write mainly,
Right.
but she says just keep doing, even if
Hmm.
it's bad, you
Mm.
know, because the more you do it, the more comes out.
Yeah.
So if you're creating and it sucks, just keep doing it, you
Yeah.
know, and then you'll realize, okay, well, that didn't work the last time. So what
Hmm.
did I do wrong that I can fix it for the next time? And just keep on and keep on and keep on, especially, and, try new things, try different methods, and, trying to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve,
Yeah.
and then once you realize that you mastered that, then take on something new, you know,
Mm.
keep yourself constantly going,
Yeah.
and understand that, this is, it's not an easy task.
Mm.
I don't care. It's funny because when I was taking classes, um, and I was asked if I wanted to take like a lecture class or a studio class, rather had stayed in the studio for 5 hours than take a lecture class that was 2 hours, because I wanted to
Right.
create. Yeah. And I
Sure.
really and I really thought about it. I'm like, these classes that you learn whatever through the books are so much easier than actually building something or creating something, because,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, you know, what you're taught in art classes are the rules of art, and you as an artist are the ones that have to break it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
There you go.
you're gonna break it, and you're gonna have a lot of people in your face completely disagreeing with what you're doing, and then you're gonna have that one person that's gonna
Yeah.
agree and believe. So you're gonna face that a lot, but
Yeah.
just keep doing it. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
and finally, the people that think that it's great is gonna the amount of people that's gonna think it's great is gonna increase more and more.
Hmm.
And then once you reach that point that you have everybody thinking you're great, then fucking change it up again.
Right.
And then, that's the only way that, you know I believe you become you're an artist and you're not commercialized and everything like that. I don't know if I'm
Right.
making sense with that.
No, absolutely. I totally track you. That's actually really awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think of a young Bob Dylan as an example of something like that, where he was doing this kind of like political thing, and then he changed up and he brought an electric guitar on the stage, and he got booed. He was like people just didn't like that he went electric, and but he was just like, I just wanted to change it up, and I think people will pigeonhole you, if you actually let them. They will say you are this. I can take that, and that's what you are. And if you try anything else, you're gonna get some flack. But I think what you said is on point. And moving into like this new whatever this it's gonna be happening. um I the hard work part never changes. You know what I
No.
mean? Like it, and when I say celebrities, I'm being a little bit like general on that. I'm not saying obviously somebody who's well known is a celebrity in that, but I'm talking about the artists that don't care about celebrity.
Yeah.
Like I look at like Marlon Brando. Like he just like hated. If you went to dinner with Marlon Brando and you started talking about acting, he would ask you to leave because he was like,
Yeah.
"That's what I do for work. I don't want to talk about that now." He wants to talk
Yeah.
about wine and other things, and that's how he was. That's how he was. And I kind of think of him as and Bob Dylan and these guys that are they're just pure artists for the art and not for any other adulations of any type. And
Yeah.
I respect that. So I think that mindset is happening a lot. Like John Prine, I don't know if you know who John Prine is. He just died
No.
about I don't know, about a week ago, week and a half ago. So it was a singer, acoustic singer, um, very very well known in the music world, but not well known to anyone else. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's just one of those guys. Um, Tommy Emmanuel, I don't know if you know who he is. An amazing guitar player, been playing
Mhm.
for 40 years. Every guitar player knows who he is. They love him. He's fantastic. He's still touring. He does 300 dates a year. He does not sell out. He does not. He fights with his record label if they want him to do something he doesn't want to do, and then he says, you know what? I'll just go somewhere else. And the
Yeah.
record label is like, wait, you're like, wait, okay, you can stay, do whatever you want, because he
Yeah.
just doesn't care. That's not how he operates.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more of that, a lot more of that, and it's going to be a wonderful world. A wonderful
Yeah.
world. I think right now there's a little bit of fear still. People, the economic heartaches, the economic crash. Of some businesses and things like
Yeah.
really has been pretty devastating.
Mhm.
Um, so that part of it is still scary to a lot of people, but the artist always gets people, gets rises to the occasion. I mean, it's
Yeah.
what we do.
That's how
That's
we
what,
know how to
but
survive.
that's the only way, man. You know what I mean? It's like I always tell, my wife and I said, if it came down to the fact that I only had my one little acoustic guitar hanging on the wall there, if that's
Yeah.
all I had, You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or if we lose everything, I can grab that guitar and I can go down to Times Square and I'll I'll play in the streets for a few hours and I'll make some money. You know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
always have my art to fall back on. It's not the other way around. You know, you don't have your art and then fall back on an accounting degree, right? You
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
you always fall back on your art because at the end of the day, that's what you are. You know, it's an
Yeah.
artist.
Yep.
It's a wonderful, wonderful conversation with you. I love talking to you because you have such in genuine insights, you know, about stuff um
Thank you.
and really good advice. You know what I mean? Like good advice. You know, it's like it's not like just you know like just do it,
Yeah. Well, I think and
which it
not for
is to a
nothing.
certain
Yeah.
degree.
Pretty much. But you know what it is? I think it's because, you know, I, when I was younger, I like to create, I like to craft and everything. But, you should know, like, that's something growing up. Oh, you can't do that because you're not going to make money. Because the
Oh
number
my
one thing
God.
that was instilled in us was you got to make money. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you're an artist, it means you're poor. And you're always
Right.
going to be poor, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so I had that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and so I never actually ever thought of creating, never thought
Mm-hmm.
of like making it a full-time thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that was maybe remotely sort of creative when I was a kid, I thought about maybe being an architect, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah.
And so when it came time to graduate high school, I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. All I know is that I wanted to finish school fast, get a job so I could move out. That was it.
Right.
Where was I going to make money? So I went to DeVry and I got a degree in telecommunications management. So I was running cables in the ceiling and installing phones and servers and everything like that. And I did that for 2.5 years, right? And then I got laid off because of 9/11, right?
Mm.
And so I was, and then I was pregnant with my daughter as well. So I was out of work for about 5 years.
Wow.
And my daughter's godfather, he was a corrections officer, but on the side, he liked to do photography, and he was playing in Photoshop, and he was creating this beautiful stuff, and I kind of liked doing stuff and like making flyers and everything. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go to school for graphic design, and I went to school, and I finished in a year and a half, and I earned my associates in that. But that's a field that it's there's always going to be somebody better than you you
It's very
know
competitive. Yeah.
yeah, and so like I didn't land a gig. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't land a job doing that. And then I became a single mother and I had to put food on the table, so I
Yeah.
just started working for a high school, the board of
Mm-hmm.
ed, just to get a job because I was out of
Yeah.
work that whole time. And so what ended up happening was I do secretarial work, and so they knew at the high school that I knew graphic design, that I was doing programs and invitations and everything. So they put me on their whole decorating committee and
Oh, cool.
doing all the stuff for like graduation and everything like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? And so the principal really truly thought, he was like, I think you're amazing. We're actually friends on Facebook. So when he saw that I graduated after 9 years, he's like, oh my God, that's amazing. But
That's
he
so
was
great.
like, go back to school, get your bachelor's, become an art teacher, and I'll give you the whole basement, and that area can be all yours. So I had planned on going back to school. So what I did was I landed a job at the university so I can go to school for free.
Mm.
But when I went there, when I was taking art classes, I got discouraged again,
Mm.
because I was going to continue doing get my bachelor's in graphic arts, and
Okay.
I got discouraged because I'm like, well, I didn't succeed the first go, and I cannot afford to not succeed again,
Mm.
and so because I had my daughter, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I stopped, and I'm like, who am
Mm.
I kidding? This is a creative field, not going to be any money in it, and so I stopped. And
Wow.
then, yeah, so I took some time off. And then I was like, all right, well, where can I make money? And then I took business. I took business classes, and I was taking business law and economics and stuff, and I absolutely hated it
Yeah.
because it was hitting the books. It wasn't creative, and I said, what am I
Yeah.
going to do with this? You know? So I stopped. I stopped again, right? And then I decided to go back and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and do the graphic arts. That's what I know. So I went back, and then life slapped me in the face. So I stopped.
Yeah.
So then, and then I'm like, all right, something has to
You know,
give.
yeah.
You know, I'm like something has to give, and I gotta earn a degree.
Yeah.
And the my one of my bosses, one of my professors, or the professor I worked for, very wise old man, said, go to school, get a bachelor's, get the paper. Doesn't matter what the hell you get a paper in. They're not gonna care as long as you have a bachelor's. You know.
Right.
And so I went back and I said, you know what? I went to the chairperson of the department and I said to him, which is the quickest way for me to finish and get my bachelor's? I was like, I need to get out of here, right? And
Right.
so he goes, well, you can do fine arts and crafts because you learn all different types of medium, because he wanted to know which medium do I want to do my work in.
Mm.
And I loved everything, painting, sculpting, printmaking, graphic arts, packaging design. I loved it all. And I said, I
Yeah.
can't give you a concentration. And
Mm.
so he was like, well, we have fine arts and crafts where you take everything, and I said, and he goes, and you'll have 8 more classes and then you'll be done. So I said,
Wow.
let's go, let's do that.
Do it.
And that's when I discovered sculpting,
Okay.
and when I finally got my hands on the clay and I realized that I'm actually really good,
Yeah.
and I said, okay. And that's when I started doing the film stuff,
Hmm.
and I had taken a summer course before I went back to school. I taken like a, not even a course, like a workshop on special effects makeup and making prosthetics and everything. And I said, oh, well, this would be perfect because if I can learn to sculpt, then I can learn to sculpt prosthetics,
Yeah.
and make masks and everything like that. So when I finally went back, I didn't go with just the intention of getting my bachelor's. I went with the intention was I'm going to learn everything so I can utilize it with my film guys.
Right.
Because my goal is to bring our company to the next level,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And the moment that Sam saw that, he was like, "Oh, you learned this? That's amazing."
Yeah.
He's like, "How about you do this?" I'm like, "Damn it."
Oh.
Yeah, and then I like that's what I said. I'm like, "You know what? I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. I'm going to just keep on doing creative stuff. It's not going to be easy, but I'm not going to give it up again,
Right.
you know?"
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
that's where I am now.
Yeah. And you said a few things that were interesting. The one of the greatest abilities of a spiritual being is the ability to change your mind.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people would look at that and say, oh, you said you stopped, you
Yeah.
stopped. No, you changed your mind,
Yeah.
and changing your mind is totally like legitimate. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
important to really have that ability to say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm moving on to something else. I think that that's actually really, really amazing of you that you were able to do that and keep going.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. And the whole idea of the starving artist, I talked about this yesterday when I was talking on somewhere, and I said, if enough people agree that there's such a thing as a starving artist, then we're gonna go into agreement with it. And some artists, I know people that love to promote the starving artist syndrome. Like, well,
Yeah.
it's what it is. I'm a starving artist. And that's what it is. It's hard. And because
Yeah.
I think what it does is it alleviates some responsibility from them. To because you are responsible whether you like it or not, 100% all the time, always responsible. But if you're not responsible, you feel better, And then if you have a group saying, yeah, we're starving artists, you have the group agreement, then
Yeah.
next thing you know, everybody's gonna be like, totally on board with that, and it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like there's no reason that that should ever exist. You know, the starving artist syndrome. So, very well done on that. You
Thank
are
you.
awesome. You are awesome. I love
Thank
talking
you
to
so
you.
much.
No, you're welcome. Great. Well, we're approaching about an hour here. This is
Whoa.
I know
Okay.
more than an hour actually. Yeah. So this is great.
Yeah.
Um, Maggie, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you so much.
Thank
Where
you.
can people find you and see your work? If somebody wants to message you, especially someone maybe possibly in that industry, the film industry, where
Yeah.
can they reach you?
Well, I haven't set up a website yet. I'm still working on that. And I have an Instagram page. It's Visual Artistry by M, not the letter M. Um, and so like I kind of been a little bit quiet on that because I realized what I was doing was just spitting out content and it wasn't like good content. And so
Hmm.
I want to spit it out better. But my stuff is on there.
Okay.
So it's Visual Artistry by M on Instagram, and
Okay.
then eventually I'm working slowly working on a website, and I'll get that going. But then
Yeah.
like you can also get my information off of Narrowbridge Films.
Mm-hmm.
They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they have a website,
Yeah.
and I have all my informations on there as well. And I have an IMDb page under Maglinda Perez. So you'll find all my credits there, my acting, my production, my special effects, all that other stuff.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, you can also reach out to me, John Henry Soto, at everything, and I will personally contact you and put you together with Maggie if you got a good project for her.
Yep. Give me a
Awesome,
call.
awesome. That's right, that's right. All right, Maggie, thank you so
All right.
much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and we will talk soon. Just don't hang
Definitely.
up this yet. Hold
I
on
won't.
one second here.
All right.
All right, folks. Thanks.
Bye.